Hello everyone, welcome to this audio podcast, where this audio podcast is a synopsis in around the audio podcast series or intermission sort of series around the Traadax fissure and part of the Traadax rupture, and where this audio podcast Synopsis provides an overview of the audio or provides an overview of sort of the different audio podcasts in as part of this intermission series, part of this chartered edition and chartered edition and evidence based perspective. This audio podcast series intermission series looks at sort of mentoring, educational support, and inclusion for those suffering with chronic kidney disease or CKD, and where the where a sort of a document and works had been drafted in around 15 originally, and where in around sort of early 2023 the document was updated, or sort of updated, reviewing sort of looking into sort of more sort of recent literature and works, and then there's a sort of an audio podcast looking at World Kidney Day 2023, which which wherein the audio podcast where the audio podcast looks at sort of delves into transplantation, looking at transplantation, and also looking at sort of bases in around the in around a blood and organ donation sort of campaign that took place retrospectively in 2014 between 2013 2014 up to 2015, and also wherein the audio podcast, as in around this particular audio podcast, there's a basis in around the theme around World Kidney Day 2023. Then there's an audio podcast as part of this intermission series, that looks at young people suffering with chronic kidney disease, young people suffering with chronic kidney disease, and where the audio podcast delves into works that looks at sort of peer reviewed research in around young people suffering with chronic kidney disease, and also delves into sort of the basis in around the sort of a basis in around the specialism what's referred to as pediatric nephrology, and delves into sort of the literature in around the the basis what makes a good a good and decent sort of pediatric specialist in around those who are suffer with chronic kidney disease, from a pediatrics or young people's specialty basis. And then there is an audio podcast in this series that delves into nephrology networks, which had been which had been a go- which had been wherein a guideline and sort of a basis was drawn up between healthcare professionals, researchers and special and varying specialists in around 2011, and wherein a basis was propagated to document the importance of sort of integrative aspects of care for or care of healthcare for young people, again suffering with chronic kidney disease or CKD, and between healthcare sectors, and where this framework or this document had been a basis for and linked to the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, and in line with the British Association of Pediatric Nephrology, or BAPN, as well. And in this audio podcast, there is an overview in around 2 social media platforms that delve into and provide and offer a basis of a sort of space for those suffering with chronic kidney disease, between pediatrics and young people, and adults suffering with chronic kidney disease, and where 2 social media platform perspectives form part of this particular audio podcast, and wherein there's a basis in around the renal patient support group, the RPSG, and the kidney disease and renal support group, or KDARS for kids, social media platforms, as part of a podcast as part of a audio podcast on social media platforms for nephrology. And then finally, as part of this audio podcast series, this intermission series, in around this Traadax fissure, this Traadax rupture, and as part of a chartered edition and an evidence-based perspective, there is an audio podcast that delves into an overview on a film premiere, that was launched from a medical association in the United Kingdom, and the organization looked to provide a basis getting lived experiences from different perspectives, as part of sharing an understanding of sort of different perspectives from different healthcare professionals and patient and those suffering with chronic suffering with different forms of organ failure in around different forms of organ failure where the film premiere talks about or has a basis in around transplantation and the um, the the launch of this film premiere took place in part of the United Kingdom, sort of in around March 2023, in around March 2023. And so this audio podcast provides an overview in around this in around a particular and specific film premiere that took place in around transplantation, and so this audio podcast series is this audio podcast series has varying sort of audio podcasts on different on different on sort of different aspects of sort of health, different aspects of healthcare, but also on linking in aspects of sort of research and evidence-based and sort of evidence-based sort of perspectives as part of the as part of this particular intermission series. So so that so this that sort of closes this overview as part of this synopsis. This has been an audio podcast, audio podcast, an overview and synopsis in around the Traadax fissure, the Traadax rupture, as part of a chartered edition and evidence-based perspective, and also an audio podcast, a part of another Storm Logistics production.